So yeah, the entire world has gone to hell, so I'm gonna try and do something a little different here today, because life is pain and there is no more joy in the real world. So I decided to harness that energy into a pretend world that seems way cooler and way more awesome than whatever the hell it is we're going through nowadays. And I figured that by sharing this experience of why I enjoy something so much can help others understand, try out new things, and understand the world around us better. Because doing that really is helpful when it comes to understanding one's cognition and how the metaverse truly works. And no, not the one Mark Zuckerberg is trying to create. Seriously, maybe the fan thieves need to send that guy a calling card. Oh, sorry, it seems I've already lost you. I'm talking about these guys, the Phantom Thieves of Hearts. They're normal, everyday people with normal, everyday problems who also transport into fictional worlds controlled by people who need their hearts changed. People who have turned evil because of their own desires and create a world for themselves in which they are the ruler of. And it's up to the Phantom Thieves to not only change their heart in an epic fight to the death, but also prevent them from doing evil in the real world as well, by gathering intel about their lives to use as helpful tactics to advance towards their treasure and take it from them. You know, like a thief would, right? And then send out a calling card as a warning to said person that they're coming for their pickle because of the terrible thoughts and evil actions that they perform in the real world. What I've just described in hopefully the easiest way possible is basically the plot of Persona 5. Well, at least the main premise of the game. You play as a silent protagonist that I named Booty McNuts, don't ask why, that gets sent to a new school in Tokyo after being falsely accused of assault, and also put on probation because of his age. He's sent over to live at Sojiro's place called Le Blanc Cafe, and lives upstairs in the attic where he is forced to go to sleep every single night by a talking cat. He then tries to lead a normal life, but then gets a mysterious app on his phone one day that he can't delete for some reason. He then runs into Ryuji, another fellow student at Shujin Academy who walks to school with him, and instead the boys end up at a mysterious castle ruled by their douchebag gym teacher, who inflicts pain on students in this fantasy world, showing his true heart and putting on an act in the real world as a lovable teacher. Along the way, the three amigos run into other fellow teens their age who have all gone through some sort of other trauma with people that they know in real life who have also had these palaces. People such as Lady An, Yusuke, Makoto, Futaba, Haru, Kasume, and some other guy named Akechi. An ace detective who loves pancakes and has no real reason to be in this game. Nope. No particular reason at all. Together, they come up with a group known as the Phantom Thieves, who run around these palaces using their app and run into encounters with shadows, traps, puzzles, treasures, and even the occasional use of crack cocaine. Just kidding about that last part, although they do use items like health and stamina potions that they buy in the real world to use in the metaverse, and go through all these intense battles to change the heart of the main villain of this palace so they can confess about all the naughty crimes they've been doing this whole time in real life. It's a generally great story with fun music, sound effects, combat, and things to do that'll make your head spin. It was one of the best games that I've ever played on the PS4, so obviously my word is gospel. It's also a decision-making game as well, so make sure you get as much done as possible before Morgana gives you that Jigglypuff from Pokemon treatment and cold clocks you to bed. A lot of your choices do matter, especially if you want to have a relationship with one of your female confidants later on, which is always a very important decision for any aspect of life. I absolutely adore these characters, and as the game progresses, they get all personal and stuff about why they've made certain choices that led them to this point in their life, and how much you can relate to their goofy high school antics. Needless to say, people really enjoyed this game, and of course, word of mouth spread about its glory, which combined with the game we are talking about today has sold over 3 million units. Bruh. I've played the original aka vanilla version twice, only because I wanted to get more trophies and stuff like that, and each time the game took me at least a few months to complete the main story. I just really did not want to let the memories go of the first game, even though Royal is essentially the same game but with an added semester included. Especially after my first time playing this game when I started back in October of 2019, and I did not complete this until April of 2020. I was also busy with a lot of stuff in real life too. I knew that this game was long. I'm talking 200 plus hours of your life dedicated to this game. What? Not including all the rage of dying and starting all the way back over at the last checkpoint in the palace. Funny story, I did not even realize my first time playing this game that I could just leave the palace and re-enter it so that my team can conserve its stamina and all its health and stuff like that, and then re-enter on a different day before the deadline was due. Because I'm stupid and don't know what I'm doing, God help my poor unfortunate soul. I really did have a great experience with Persona 5. I got really involved with the story and grew more attached to everyone involved as the game progressed. And I truly did take my time, just kidding, I tried to fast forward through a lot of the other pointless dialogue as much as possible because I wanted this game to end already and move on to something else because I ain't got time for all that. The difference is that I did not want the journey of the Phantom Thieves to end. And Atlus agreed with my thought process by announcing a spin-off game called Strikers, a crossover between Persona 5 and Dynasty Warriors, basically turning this lovable gang of misfits into a hack and slash group, giving everybody that work. Before we dive any further into talking about the game itself, I feel like it's a lot to discuss about why it was more than just a spin-off title to me. So yeah, unfortunately we are going to be talking about spoilers with this game, and how much it affects the future of the Phantom Thieves. So if you did not play the original game or Strikers just yet, please try not to watch the remainder of this video until doing so. I definitely want all of you to get the full experience of the game before diving back into this whole little analogy that I'm going with. Or just watch anyway if you're not affected by spoilers at all. I mean, I don't really care what you do. It's not like anybody watches these videos anyway. So yeah, that was your first and only warning. So let's go ahead and talk about this game. Here we go. The Japanese police are investigating the Phantom Thieves and are trying to find ways to prove that they are the cause of the latest change of hearts epidemic that has been happening all across Japan. The director sends in prosecutor Zenkichi to lure the Phantom Thieves into getting what he wants them to do, so that he can be named the top prosecutor. Meanwhile, our main protagonist and his cat Morgana have come back to Tokyo for summer vacation, following the events of Persona 5. They make it back over to Cafe LeBlanc, where they are greeted with a surprise party by all of their favorite friends. It's a wonderfully cute moment and everyone's together again, and yeah, sorry, just give me a moment here.
I made it my duty to find you.
It's important to understand each character and why they matter. We got Ryuji, the hothead track star who's the muscle and anchor of the group. He's quite dumb, but always keeps it straight and has a good heart. Then there's Lady An, the model foreign exchange student who has a kind heart, but is also not going to put up with anyone's sexist nonsense, despite some of the obvious signs she gives you, but you know, feminism and stuff.
Now remember everyone, 16!
She joined after seeing one of her best friends, Shiho, go through a, let's just say, traumatic experience because she wants to help those in need, and is a reliable source with her whip. Then there's Morgana, the talking cat who is the navigator and support system of the Phantom Thieves. He knows quite a bit about the metaverse and its functions, except for a few known parts about his own memory and where he comes from. He can also turn into a car and has a not-so-secret crush on Panther. Also, they use code names in the metaverse instead of their real names, you know, because they're hiding their identities. I mean, they're thieves after all. I mean, if you're robbing a bank, you wouldn't be like, hey Joey, go open the cash register. You would be like, person letter B, go open up that register, you goofball. Seriously, attention to detail, folks. Then we have Yusuke, the artist who was once loyal to Madarame, but then saw his evil ways and wants to expose these kinds of fake people with his sophisticated style and attention to detail. Very weird and also cries occasionally over food. Makoto is the smart one of the group who is looking to be a detective on her own, just like her sister, Sai Nijima, who clearly deserved more screen time in this game, by the way, and is the most knowledgeable of everything going on with the group. She just might want to get over her fear of, scary things.
I'm so sorry. Where are you, sis? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Wait. I didn't know you two were...
No. We're just friends.
Futaba is the hacker of the group, who can get into any system put in her place both in the real world and the metaverse. She has major social anxiety, but with the help of her friends, has a much better time overcoming these kinds of problems. She's also more of a support member who can give her teammates more health and stamina while in the metaverse. Just don't let her find you with gunk in your eye during a selfie, and avoid a roast session with her at all costs. Haru is the sweet, innocent girl whose father owned Okumura Foods before being slaughtered to death on national television. Haru is basically female Jesus who cares about everyone in the group and is also rich, bitch. She definitely gets some more development in this game than in Persona 5, where she was just, kind of there. And these are all the members of the original Phantom Thieves. Kasume and Akechi unfortunately did not get the call this time around. Their phone line must have been dead or something. The gang is planning to do a camping trip together since they are back, and gain help from a new popular app called Emma. It tells them everything they need to know and how close they can get these items. Joker, Skull, and Morgana are all about shopping when they spot people going crazy over teenage pop idol or whatever, Alice, and accidentally say a keyword that sends them into a jail within the metaverse. Which, if you did not play Persona 5, is basically like a palace, but you can return to this jail at any time. It's here they discover a lone AI named Sophia, who helps the three break out of the jail that is controlled by Alice's shadow. The three then explain everything to the rest of the Phantom Thieves, as everyone agrees to not only stop Alice's plans from brainwashing everyone, but also figure out what exactly Sophia is and why she just paid for expedited shipping on a gold bar that was purchased off the dark web.
Send it back?
Sorry? I didn't get that.
After a confrontation with Alice, the gang runs into Zenkichi because of course they do, convenient timing and all, and then he basically blackmails them into working with him to uncover the recent changes in behavior that have been happening again with society. The Phantom Thieves then send out a calling card, which is basically their way of saying, hey bad guy, we're coming for your treasure. aka your heart, aka your pickle. And they send it in the most epic style way that they can, aka interrupting a news broadcast. As they take down Alice and her wonderfully wonderful wonderland of wonder, say that 5 times fast, they start to realize that most of these occurrences happen because of the new app that everyone is using. It has some sort of control over people's lives, and it's up to our heart-changing thieves to figure out what's going on. I do like how with the next bit of jails that come up, each person in the group like An, Yusuke, Haru, and even Ryuji play an important part in their relating to their own personal experiences to the jail's leader, and how each of their own personal connections helps the shadow in understanding one's pain to release the desires, which is the main goal of trying to get into the jail. You're basically supposed to release the desires of all the people that are being controlled, and all of these jails are controlled by monarchs, aka the leaders of these jails. This game truly is about people making their own decisions instead of being controlled by one person. What makes us all human, the decisions we make, the mistakes we make, and how we can use them to figure out what we can do better in our lives, and not be like complete robots who are completely perfect, because none of us are. Ryuji even takes it one step further in one of the most satisfying ways ever when one of the jail leaders questions Sophia's existence as a failure of an AI.
She's worthless? You got all that from 5 friggin' questions? We're Sophie's friends, and we know she's awesome. She's friggin' amazing, 1,000,000 times better than you. So shut the up, idiot!
No swearing, no swearing.
Sophia is a wonderfully cute, yet also sometimes pretty annoying character at times. Speaking of Sophia, she ends up becoming a member of the Phantom Thieves to discover her true identity and understand what her ultimate purpose is as an AI. Kinda similar to Morgana convincing himself that he's a human even though in reality he's a cat in the Persona 5 game. She's really adorable, but can also be quite annoying when trying to buy items from the app.
Welcome. Who's it for? Who's it for? Which one? Which one? Having trouble deciding? Who's it for? Who's it for? Who's it for? Who's it? Which one? Who's it? Which one? Who's it? Which one? Which one? Which one? Which one? Who's it for? Which one? Who's it for?
The gameplay itself is where I feel like you connect with each of the Phantom Thieves the best. Not only because you get to switch out and play as each one in any capacity that you like, but you also understand their movements, actions, how they would handle a situation, and also see their badass showtime moves that are unlocked after a certain amount of combat time and kills you make when fighting the shadows. It's unbelievably fun to play this game, which is all you can ask for with playing a video game ultimately. It's fast paced, exciting, and you also need a bit of strategy with this game as well. For instance, you can't really spend all of your stamina points focusing on the weak spots of the enemy by using a character's persona too much. So you have to use that stuff sparingly, and it can be tricky to manage. So you can either do your own physical attacks, shoot them with a gun, use different items, or just pray that you don't die too much, which I have kind of a few times in this game because I don't know what I'm doing, like I mentioned before. I also love how unique and colorful each jail is set up, and there's also some pretty amazing music to boot. I've always been a big fan of video game music because it's just really fun to listen to. I mean, seriously, the song Singularity at the Okinawa jail, holy freaking guacamole, that song is super hot fire. The music in this game has always really been great, and all the classic songs from both Vanilla and Royal make a comeback with this game. The people over at Atlus really meddled it up with songs like Last Surprise and Rivers in the Desert. 2 already great songs, and these people somehow turned the volume all the way up to 11. The puzzles in this game are also not as bad as the ones in Persona 5, including that hellhole with the vents in the Okumura Palace, which what freaking level design person came up with that? And why are you even existing? I mean, seriously, what the hell is wrong with you, man? They also made the dialogue feel a lot more natural in this game than in some aspects of the original. Most of the dialogue in the original game was fine. There were just some really painfully awkward parts. Also, unlike the palaces in the first game, you can freely go about jails to level up, collect more treasure, and go back whenever you feel like it, unlike the first game where if you did not get everything done, you can always go back before the deadline. But then Morgana the monster over here would force you to take a power nap even though you still have stuff to do. Seriously, Morgana, the fate of the entire world is on our hands, and all you're concerned about with is goddamn sleeping. Then again, with all this stuff going on in the world, I do kinda need a nap too. But as I mentioned before, for me, it's a lot more than just another spin-off despite being way shorter than the Royal version. I think it's actually kind of an emotional and ironic journey with Joker and his friends. He's a lot more goofy because he's just happy to be around them again. Everyone has a type of character arc that they go through in this game, because everything feels full circle with them, especially after the events of the previous game. Even Zenkichi becomes an honorary member of the Phantom Thieves because he wants to save his daughter Akane, who becomes a monarch and has beef with her dad in real life because he failed to capture her mother's killer, aka Zenkichi's wife. To be honest, I was not a big fan of Zenkichi becoming a member of the Phantom Thieves. I just thought it was weird to see Gramps cramping the style of a bunch of teenagers about to head off into college and are doing stuff like driving, some better than others, right Haru? He was just kinda killing their gimmick, brother. But then the more I thought about it, the more sense it made with Zenkichi as a Phantom Thief. He wants to be the head honcho at his field, but also has his own issues as well that prevents him from doing so. And it's a reminder that even adults, not just kids, want to have their own persona awakenings. Zenkichi is a part of society that is mundane and routine and boring, but in a weird way is also a necessary part of the process. Sometimes when you want to cycle away from that lifestyle, it can be a challenge and one of the hardest things to do when it comes to betting on yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's done with being an ace detective, but now it feels like he has a lot more freedom and independence, and shows that he is not someone who's going to sit there and take orders all the time. He starts to stand up for himself. He starts to break free from the chains that keep holding him back from his true potential. And that in a weird way makes him a perfect fit for the Phantom Thieves, because the Phantom Thieves were always about ripping off their mask and showing off their true persona, and Zenkichi truly is no different from these kids. I really don't want to get too much into the ending of the game because I do want you to see parts of that yourself, especially with all the Phantom Thieves attacking the final boss together as a team and Ryuji kicking Gun in the balls. They don't even need a god to save them, they just take care of the god themselves. Because just when you think the game is over, you do tend to go through some more BS nonsense just when you think you're done in typical Atlus fashion. And the reason I do not want to spoil too much of the ending, even though I did just spoil parts of this in the last game, is because I do really want you guys to experience the lure of the Phantom Thieves. I want this game to steal your heart the way it did mine. I want you guys to experience the joy that it was to see Sophia have her own awakening and yell out a particular music streaming platform that everyone is probably going to use now more than ever, because everyone is canceling Spotify because of Joe Rogan, all that stuff. And of course that final ending scene with the Phantom Thieves all together one last time. God, I just don't want it to end. Give me a bunch of spin-off games with these guys forever. It's not really closure, but it's more so like, hey, I'll see you later. They want to feel this alive. No matter what they do, no matter where they go, they will always have each other. They are the Phantom Thieves, and if they are being sent out, they are being sent out on the highest of notes with this game. It's funny, crazy, wild, silly, emotional, fun, and just overall a great time. If you are new to the Persona series, I would recommend trying out Persona 5 first, and don't worry about the other Persona games that came before it, since each game has its own separate story. And if you have already played Persona 5 and not Strikers yet, seriously, go buy this game. What are you doing? You won't regret it, trust me. They will truly take your heart away again.
Until next time, Phantom Thieves!
I know there have been a couple of people that have already talked about this game, so I just wanted to give my 2 cents in about it. And if you enjoyed what I said, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you all later. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and peace.